Have you ever noticed that tiny, agonizing gap in time between someone asking you for a favor and your mouth automatically saying yes? It happens in a fraction of a second. Before your brain can even process your own exhaustion, before you can check your mental schedule, before you can even register the heavy, sinking feeling in your chest, the words just fall out of you. You smile, you nod, you say, "Yeah, sure, no problem." But almost instantly, a familiar dread drops into your stomach. You are already regretting it. You are already mentally calculating what part of your own life you will have to sacrifice, delay, or rush through to accommodate this person. And yet, you do it anyway. Because the alternative, saying no, risking their disappointment, facing that brief moment of awkward silence, feels entirely impossible. If you live your life this way, constantly bending, constantly adjusting your own boundaries to make sure everyone around you is comfortable, you might tell yourself a very specific story. You might tell yourself that you are just being a good person. You might pride yourself on being the easygoing one, the reliable one, the friend who never causes drama. Society praises this behavior. People will eagerly applaud you for being the ultimate team player. But there is a very precise name for this cycle. It is the nice guy trap, or more accurately, the trap of chronic people-pleasing. And it is quietly, systematically destroying your sense of self. We are told from a young age that being nice is a virtue, but there is a profound difference between genuine kindness and a trauma response masquerading as a personality trait. Genuine kindness is a choice you make freely, from a place of emotional surplus. People-pleasing is a compulsion driven by a deep, unacknowledged fear. You are not saying yes because you genuinely want to help. You are saying yes because you are terrified of what happens if you don't. I know how deep this trap goes because for years, it was the only way I knew how to navigate the world. My default reaction to any request, no matter how inconvenient, was a cheerful agreement. I thought it made me an indispensable part of my social circle. I thought it made me a fiercely loyal friend. I remember one specific weekend a few years ago that changed how I saw this forever. A friend of mine called me late on a Friday evening. He was moving out of his apartment and asked if I could come over to help him clean and pack. I was running on absolute fumes. I had just finished a brutal, demanding week of work, and every bone in my body was begging for rest. But the old, familiar script kicked in before I could stop it. I told him I would head over right now. I drove across town in the dark. I spent the entire night hauling heavy boxes down a narrow flight of stairs. I spent hours scrubbing baseboards, inhaling dust, and packing away his life into cardboard. We didn't finish until nearly 3 in the morning. My back ached, my hands were raw, and I drove home in a daze of pure physical exhaustion. But as I stripped off my dusty clothes and collapsed into bed, I felt that strange, hollow pride that people-pleasers know so well. I had sacrificed my own comfort. I had proven my loyalty. The next morning, I woke up late, feeling like I had been hit by a truck. I made a cup of coffee, sat heavily on my couch, and lazily opened my phone. And right there, at the very top of my social media feed, was a video my friend had just posted. He was out at a bright, sunny brunch spot. He looked completely refreshed, laughing with a group of people, holding up a drink. The caption read something cheerful about celebrating new beginnings. I sat there in my quiet, messy apartment, my coffee getting cold, just staring at the screen. He hadn't invited me. He hadn't even texted to see if I got home safe. He simply took my labor, absorbed my time, and went on with his perfect weekend. While I sat there, entirely drained, recovering from an effort he had already forgotten. The sting in that moment was incredibly sharp and deeply humiliating. But the hardest, most uncomfortable truth to swallow wasn't that my friend was thoughtless. The hardest truth was that I had done this to myself. I had taught him how to treat me. I had signaled over and over again that my time was less valuable than his convenience. I had shown him that I had no boundaries, so naturally, he didn't respect any. We have to look closely at the hidden architecture of this trap. What is the actual fear sitting underneath all of this accommodating behavior? At its core, people-pleasing is a desperate attempt to control how other people perceive you. It is driven by a deeply buried, painful belief that you, exactly as you are, without your utility, are simply not enough. You have learned to view your own value as entirely transactional. If you are not fixing, helping, or soothing someone else, you feel fundamentally worthless. Because of this, you start operating under a silent, deeply flawed emotional contract with the world. The contract goes like this: if I sacrifice my needs for you, if I never complain, if I am always useful, then in return, you will love me. You will never abandon me. You will recognize my worth. But the world does not honor that contract. Instead, what actually happens is a slow, quiet erosion of your dignity. Your hyper-accommodation doesn't make people love you more deeply. It just trains them to take you for granted. You see this pattern everywhere once you open your eyes to it. It is the reason you agree to take on extra work at 5 o'clock on a Friday, telling yourself you are just being a team player while your coworker leaves early to go enjoy their weekend. It is the reason you sit in a loud, crowded restaurant you absolutely hate, picking at food you don't even want to eat, simply because you didn't want to be the difficult one in the group chat when everyone was deciding where to go. You constantly absorb the discomfort so nobody else has to. And the emotional cost of living this way is heavy. Over time, you don't just become physically tired, you become intensely, silently resentful. You start keeping a hidden scoreboard in your head. You count all the times you sacrifice for others, waiting for them to magically read your mind and return the favor. But they never do. Because they don't know they are playing a game. They just think you like being helpful. You build a wall of bitterness, brick by brick, every time you say yes when you mean no. You feel invisible, but you are the one hiding yourself. I want to pause here because I know how much quiet shame can come with realizing this. If you see yourself in this pattern, I need you to hear this clearly, without judgment. You are not doing this because you are weak. You are not a coward. You are doing this because at some point in your life, hyper-accommodation was a brilliant, necessary survival strategy. Perhaps you grew up in a home where love was conditional, where affection was only given when you were quiet, or good, or easy to manage. Perhaps you had to constantly read the room to keep a volatile parent calm, walking on eggshells so the peace wouldn't shatter. You learned how to be invisible and useful as a way to stay physically or emotionally safe. You developed a highly attuned radar for other people's discomfort, and you took it upon yourself to fix it. That is not weakness. That is a tragic, heavy kind of empathy. But you are an adult now. The environment has changed. And the survival tool that once protected you is now the exact thing keeping you trapped in a cycle of burnout. So, how do we dismantle this? How do we step out of the nice guy trap when the mere thought of saying no makes your palms sweat? If someone corners you and you feel that familiar panic rising, you do not have to answer immediately. This is the simplest, most vital tool you can learn. You simply say, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you." That 10-second delay breaks the cycle of instant compliance. It gives you the space to figure out what you actually want. The next shift is recognizing that saying no does not have to be an apology. For the chronic people pleaser, setting a boundary feels like dropping a bomb. So when we finally try to decline a request, we panic. We over-explain. We invent elaborate excuses. We apologize profusely. We say, "I am so sorry. I would love to, but I have this huge thing coming up, and my car is acting weird, and I'm just so busy." When you do this, you are not setting a boundary. You are handing the other person a puzzle to solve. You are giving them room to negotiate. They will reply, "Oh, it won't take long," or "I can adjust the time," and suddenly you are trapped again. You have to learn the quiet power of the short, unadorned boundary. A boundary does not require a defense attorney, it just requires clarity. Start practicing phrases that are polite but entirely firm. "I can't commit to that right now." "I don't have the capacity for that this week." Notice the period at the end of those sentences. Notice the complete absence of the word sorry. You do not have to apologize for existing within the limits of your own energy. If a flat refusal feels too harsh for a relationship you truly value, you can offer a boundary paired with an alternative. This shows that you still care about the connection, but you are dictating the terms of your involvement. For example, if someone asks you to help them move on a Friday night, you do not have to say yes to the heavy lifting. You can say, "I don't have the energy to help move boxes tonight, but I can bring you dinner tomorrow afternoon when you're unpacking." If a friend wants to vent for 3 hours on the phone when you are drained, you can say, "I really want to hear about this, but I only have the mental space for a quick 10-minute call right now." You are not shutting them out. You are simply removing yourself from the role of the endless, unconditional resource. But here is the part no one warns you about. When you first start setting these boundaries, when you first start speaking your actual truth instead of a convenient lie, people are going to be surprised. Some people might even be angry. The people who have benefited the most from your lack of boundaries will always be the most upset when you finally build them. They might call you selfish. They might ask why you have changed. Let them be upset. Their disappointment is not your responsibility to manage. You cannot heal your own burnout while simultaneously trying to manage everyone else's reaction to your healing. You have to let them experience the friction of your boundary. I remember the first time I actually said no to that same friend, months after the moving incident. He asked me to cover another massive favor. My heart was pounding against my ribs. My throat felt tight. I typed the text out, deleted it, typed it again. I told him I wouldn't be able to help out with that this time. I threw my phone across the bed like it was on fire. I waited for the explosion. I waited for the friendship to end. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. The text read, "No worries, man. Catch up soon." That was it. The world did not end. The sky did not fall. I was not abandoned. And in that quiet space, sitting alone in my room, realizing I had my whole evening back to myself, I felt a physical weight lift off my chest. I felt like I had reclaimed a tiny piece of my own soul. The truth is, genuine connection does not require you to abandon yourself. The people who truly belong in your life, the people who actually care about you, not just what you can do for them, want you to be well. They want you to have limits. They do not want to be the cause of your secret exhaustion. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to be inconvenient. You are allowed to protect your energy fiercely. You do not have to earn your place in this world by being endlessly useful. Take a breath. Let the guilt wash over you, and then let it pass. The next time someone asks you for something you cannot give, pause. Feel your feet on the floor and choose yourself.